Well, good morning and welcome to another stream of Law of the Weird. My name's Tom Swanson. I'm a lawyer in Houston, Texas, and have been for over 35 years. And as I have stated in other presentations, that I began looking at appeal court decisions, that is, decisions on cases that were appealed to appeal courts, and I've been reading those types of cases since 1971, and I became fascinated with them because they were the ultimate reality shows in some ways, uh, real stories about real things that happened to real people, and sometimes extremely weird stories about weird things that happen to people, and at any rate, the case I'm going to cover with you today is the strange case of Connecticut General Life Insurance Company versus Tommie. And this was a case by the Texas State Court of Appeals out of Texarkana, Texas, that was decided in 1981. It was further appealed to the Supreme Court of Texas, but they refused to hear it, didn't find any mistake. At any rate, the Tommie case goes like this. Mrs. Tommie goes grocery shopping one day. While she's gone, Mr. Tommie dresses up in her wig, her nightie and panties and bra, and then he rigs this exercise rope around. First of all, he puts it around his neck like in a noose. Then he runs one end of the rope over the top of a door and ties it off on the doorknob on the other side of the door. Then he takes another end of the exercise rope and ties it around his left leg. Then this exercise rope is supposedly rigged with pulleys. So basically, what it allows him to do is it allows him, to gradually tighten the rope around his neck. At any rate, the long and short of it is, Mrs. Tommie returns from grocery shopping and finds her husband dead in her wig and underclothes with the rope around his neck. So at any rate, it just so happens that there is a $120,000 accidental death policy that exists on Mr. Tommie's life. So at any rate, guess what? I know you're going to find this shocking. The insurance company doesn't want to pay the $120,000 to Mrs. Tommie. Okay. The argument is that she can't prove that it was an accidental death, okay, independent of other circumstances. So what happens is the case goes to trial. A jury hears the case, and thus begins the education of the courts and in this case the jury on autoerotic asphyxiation. In other words, what the expert testimony that came out during the trial indicated is that Mr. Tommie was engaged in this conduct of tying a rope around his neck and gradually tightening it to gain increased arousal during masturbation. And according to the experts, in the course of doing this, of slowly cutting off oxygen to his brain by asphyxiation, that he went a little further than just increasing his orgasm, but also killed himself by accident. At any rate, The jury finds in favor of Mrs. Tommie and, of course, the insurance company, Connecticut General Life Insurance Company. It appeals the decision. It basically, once again, saying that there is insufficient evidence to show that Mr. Tommie's death was an accident, independent of all other circumstances. The Court of Appeals, I always find this kind of interesting. The Court of Appeals, the contemplative, conservative appeal court, has to review a case of, auto-eroticism, that is, choking yourself during masturbation. And I would like to have been a fly on the wall during that meeting of the justices. But at any rate, they do discuss autoeroticism, discuss the evidence, and the court upholds the decision by the jury and the trial court, and finds that there was sufficient evidence that this was an accident. So the bottom line is that Ms. Tommie got her $120,000 in the life insurance policy. It just goes to, I read cases like this, and I don't know how you feel about it, but I come to the conclusion that I must be normal, because this strikes me as crazy as shit. I don't know what you think of it as, but that's kind of the way I think of it. I mean, the idea of choking yourself with some sort of combination of exercise rope and pulleys and all this sort of thing, just so you can jerk off better, just really, really I find amazing. So at any rate, that's just me. It's interesting to note that apparently during the trial, the experts testified that there's about 40 deaths blamed on autoerotic activities every year. Now, this was back in the early 80s. I don't know whether this practice is increased or decreased, or whether the death count is decreased or increased. At any rate, I thought I would share this with you. Please do not think that this means that I'm somehow fixated on somewhat unusual sexual activity, because nothing could be further from the truth. Rather, my entire intent is to share with you the evidence of my thesis that when you read appeal court decisions, you get to see some really weird shit sometimes. So, at any rate, until next time, have a great day.